Yeah, this is Vlad Manowar. I'm just checking in again. I'm CIA and Mossad targeted whistleblower. Back in December 12th at 6 p.m. of 2025, I had 3 CIA agents come up to the door. I guess they thought they were going to lure me outside and take me to a black site. It didn't happen. By the time I got to the door, they were across the street at my neighbor's place. And they said, "You know Erin over here? Or Erica? You know her? You know her? You know who she is? You know who lives there?" And I said, "No, I don't. I know people live there." And the guy over to the left, closest to the curb, said, "Hey, we're going to a church tonight. You want to go with us?" Nobody comes to your house on a freezing cold night with snow on the ground when it's dark out. I think it's a little too convenient for them to choose the night that my sister Ann Montgomery of Hawaii, who works for NSA, was leaving the country to go scuba diving with her husband in Belize. Wow, what a coincidence they chose that night, huh? Nobody comes to your door in this community, 3 adult white men, and says that, especially the way they were talking. Only people who talk like that are CIA agents. All right, I want to give you a little tip up. So if anything happens to me and I'm shot, stabbed, poisoned, blown up, or drowned, keep my body alive indefinitely. I've already signed documents with my attorney, James Green, down in Glen Burnie, and he filed the paperwork with the state of Maryland at the courthouse down in Annapolis. I got a copy of it, and I gave somebody else a copy of it too. So they're not going to be able to say I wanted to cash myself out. I want to give you some other tip. I was a bodybuilder since age 12, man. I'm never going to cash out. I'm an old school hard rock from the streets of Curtis Bay, Southside slums of Baltimore City, and that's what's up. You know what I mean? Don't ever let anybody tell you a guy like me cashes out. I don't cash out. I'm from Generation X. So anyways, I just went out to Home Depot, and there's some very important things I want to show you over here. You see all that Milwaukee? That's contractor grade tools. That's a real man's tools. That's a lot more. I got a lot more stuff than I'm showing right there. That's a brand new gear wrench set, all M18 fuel by Milwaukee. And I got another dual pack back there of power drills. Why am I showing you that? Why am I going to show you this? Look, that's my brushless Ryobi set, combo set that I just bought down there today, December 24th, 2025. Why would I buy something like that if I was going to cash out? Now, I'm going to show you something else. And I showed you this before. A person who has an entire wall of expensive Charmin and expensive Bounty paper towel doesn't cash out. It's not going to happen. So my assassination was originally ordered by the Obama administration back in 2010. And that he wasn't alone. It was Eric the Racist Holder, eventually Loretta Lyon Lynch, both attorney generals. It was Leon Panetta, Robert Gates, Joe Biden, and Antony Blinken. Just remember that name. Antony Blinken and David S. Cohen have been with Obama since the beginning. To make matters worse, it gets even worse. I'll tell you why it gets worse. So anyways, like I said before, I champion for the Palestinian babies and children and all the innocent adults out there, right? I went online and a lot of the Jews around the world were championing for Israel against these Palestinian victims. And a genocide, ethnic cleansing, mass starvation, mass dehydration, targeted assassination of news journalists, and it goes on. So I couldn't believe the comments they were making. So I made some comments back. And they could be considered threatening or whatever, but I don't care. I don't care how allied up our attorney general or the politicians, the senators, the congressmen, or even the president sides with Israel. I do not. I'm with the people of the world, and we all unite against Israel. Period, point blank. Anyways, long story short, if anybody out there wants to help me, you get in touch with Glenn Greenwald at The Intercept Brazil, spelled with an S, not a Z. Also get in touch with Australia for a Julian Assange. That's where he lives. The other person to get in touch with is in the state of South Carolina, in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and that's attorney Trey Gowdy. That's the man who I want to represent me. I want people to fight for me. I want people to stand up and bring this fight, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. or Christopher Hedges or Candace Owens, all of them. I'll talk to everybody. I'm going to go around the world on tour like a rock star, bringing down the CIA. This is not an attack against America. It's not an attack against the military or even the politicians. Either side is corrupt. This is a serious attack against the CIA and former politicians who are now out of power. But back to Israel. So I've received death threats from Mossad and IDF. They both death threatened me. And I thought, wow, I brushed it off. Well, guess what? They weren't joking when they said they was going to send a Kadun unit. And I'm smart, but I didn't even know who the Kadun unit was. And I noticed two guys that looked like they were from Israel. They were of Israeli descent 3 times in my community. And the third time they came up to the door and they tried to lure me outside. And they wasn't joking around. They were there to kill me. So just when I thought I was out of it and all these other politicians from the Obama administration were done running and making a run for it, then I get in trouble with him. And Benjamin has already said, and he brags to people all over the world, I got more control over the House and the Senate than Donald Trump does. And he's right, he does. But let me add 2 more things into that. He's got more control over the FBI with Kash Patel. And he's also got more control over the CIA with John Ratcliffe and Michael J. Ellis, who are currently the crime bosses of the CIA. So anybody who thinks this is a joke, here's what I think they're going to do. They're going to scoop me up at the behest of their master in Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. Should I be taken to a black site and tortured and then put before the CIA headquarters after that, and they're going to have their way at me with me too? It's not a joke, people. They're knocking people off. If they end up shafting me through FISA at some time and lynching me in a cell, I didn't lynch myself. I wouldn't care if I was shot 10 times, a building falls on me, a safe falls on me, and its truck drives over me. I want to live. And that's who I am. I'm the stay alive guy, that old school hard rock from the streets of Curtis Bay. So believe it. Pass this on to anybody who will listen. I'll talk to any news journalists that come, as long as I recognize who they are and they got proper credentials. But I'm not going to be lured outside at night. That's what I'm not going to do. So anyways, this is me signing off. Y'all saw all my new tools. You can't deny that a man who goes out and buys all upgrade, commercial grade, contractor type equipment, brushless M18 fuel by Milwaukee, does not want to cash out. By the way, no matter what you do to me, and this is for the CIA, I'm going to survive you, but you will not survive me. Because I'm going to bring you down. You're going to be held accountable, and I can guarantee you they're going to hold a military-style tribunal to shaft you. I'm out.